Have you ever wondered how milk, one of the most fragile foods on Earth, became a product that could last for months without spoiling? In 1917, a quiet revolution began inside steam-filled factories, where science met industry to conquer time itself. This is the untold story of how the dairy industry changed forever, one sealed can at a time. What if one of humanity's most essential foods was also one of its greatest challenges? At the dawn of the 20th century, milk nourished millions, yet spoiled in just hours. Without refrigeration or modern hygiene, entire shipments were lost before reaching the cities. Families depended on daily deliveries, and each sunrise risked turning nourishment into waste. This fragile balance between nature and necessity would soon ignite a quiet revolution. As cities expanded and populations grew, the demand for safe milk became urgent. Industrialization brought promise, machines, steam, and chemistry working together to solve what nature couldn't. Scientists and engineers searched for ways to extend milk's life without losing its purity. In laboratories and factories, experiments with heat and sealing methods began to show results. The dream of preserving milk for weeks, even months, was no longer science fiction. But behind every breakthrough there was pressure, from governments, armies, and families alike. The First World War intensified the need for durable food, pushing the dairy industry into innovation. Every can produced meant more soldiers fed, more children nourished, more lives sustained. In the background, a new symbol of progress was taking shape, the metal can. And with it, the modern age of milk was about to begin. Yet this was only the beginning of a story that would reshape the entire dairy world. From farm fields to roaring factories, a transformation was underway, one powered by steam and determination. What came next would not only preserve milk but redefine how humanity preserved life itself. To understand that change, we must step inside those early factories of 1917. There, the process that changed the future of food was about to unfold. By 1917, the dairy industry was no longer a small-scale rural operation, it was an empire in motion. Farms spread across the United States were producing more milk than ever before, feeding the needs of booming cities. Railroads carried heavy metal cans filled with fresh milk from countryside barns to industrial plants. But as production soared, so did the challenge of keeping milk safe for long journeys. Every hour mattered, and every degree of temperature could mean the difference between profit and loss. The growing population demanded more than traditional farming could provide. Machines began to replace manual labor, and hygiene became a central concern in every step. Governments started regulating milk quality, and companies invested in modern pasteurization equipment. What once was a local craft now evolved into a coordinated industrial system. The dairy world was entering an age of scale, precision, and scientific control. Factories rose near rail lines and ports, linking farms to markets faster than ever before. Cold storage began to emerge, though it was still primitive and costly. Milk transformed from a fragile local commodity into a key piece of the national food chain. Advertising campaigns painted milk as a symbol of health and purity, feeding both body and trust. The stage was set for innovation that would preserve milk far beyond its natural limits. And then came a turning point. A new method that promised to stop spoilage entirely. A process born from industrial ambition and wartime necessity. The idea of sealing milk inside airtight cans was daring, almost unbelievable. But it would soon become one of the greatest food innovations of the early 20th century. That leap forward marked the birth of canned milk and the next chapter of the story. Imagine opening a can of milk months after it was produced and finding it perfectly fresh. In the early 1900s, that idea seemed impossible, almost magical. Yet a few bold companies believed they could conquer time and bacteria alike. Among them stood Asterix, Libby McNeil and Amp, Libby Asterix, pioneers ready to turn vision into industry. Their experiments would forever change how the world stored and consumed milk. Canning wasn't just a business idea, it was a scientific revolution. It relied on heat, pressure, and precision to destroy microorganisms without harming nutrition. Engineers redesigned equipment to handle the delicate nature of milk's chemistry. Each batch was tested, refined, and recorded with obsessive detail. The goal was simple, a product that could travel the world and survive it. By combining agricultural knowledge with industrial engineering, a new era began. Factories learned to blend cleanliness, chemistry, and craftsmanship into one process. Consumers, once skeptical, were amazed by milk that could last for months. This advancement made dairy accessible to distant communities and overseas markets. The can became a vessel of trust, a symbol of reliability in uncertain times. The success of canned milk proved that preservation could be progress. It showed that food could be engineered for safety, scale, and endurance. But it also raised a question that would drive innovation for decades to come. How could the process be perfected? Faster, safer, and more efficient? That question would lead us straight into the heart of the canning process itself. The transformation of milk into a canned product was both art and science. Every drop that entered the factory began a carefully timed journey. It was filtered to remove impurities, heated to destroy bacteria, and funneled into sterilized cans. Steam hissed, pistons moved, and workers moved in perfect rhythm with the machines. It was a mechanical ballet, where precision meant survival. Sealing was the most critical step, the moment when time itself was locked away. Metal lids were crimped onto cans using high-pressure sealers, forming an airtight barrier. Then came sterilization. The sealed cans were heated in massive steam chambers. Inside, temperatures climbed to levels lethal to microorganisms but safe for flavor. When the process ended, each can emerged ready to last for months, even years. Quality control was relentless. Inspectors checked every batch for swelling, discoloration, or leakage. Even a single defective seal could mean contamination and loss of reputation. Factories built their names on consistency, the promise that every can would be safe. This discipline was the backbone of the new dairy economy. Yet the marvel of the process wasn't just in machinery or chemistry. It was in the vision behind it, the belief that science could protect nature's gift. The success of these methods would ripple far beyond milk, influencing all modern food preservation. But behind the gleaming metal and steam, human hands still kept everything running. To understand the true soul of this innovation, we must step onto the factory floor. Inside the canning factories of 1917, the air was thick with steam and ambition. Machines roared, belts turned, and the smell of heated milk filled the halls. Dozens of workers moved in coordination, measuring, sealing, and stacking cans. Every shift was a dance between human precision and industrial power. It was the sound of progress, echoing through walls of steel and sweat. Men and women worked side by side, their roles defined but equally vital. Some operated sealing machines, others monitored the flow of milk and pressure gauges. A mistake could ruin an entire batch, or worse, risk contamination. Safety gear was minimal, and accidents were not uncommon in this mechanical world. Yet the pride in producing something so revolutionary kept spirits high. The factories themselves were marvels of design for their time. Pipes snaked across ceilings, valves hissed, and boilers powered the constant heat. Managers kept logs of temperature and timing with almost military precision. Each successful production run felt like a victory over time and decay. Every can that left the factory carried a piece of industrial triumph. But outside those walls, the world was changing fast. War, urban growth, and science all pushed the industry toward greater efficiency. The lessons learned inside these factories would soon shape entire economies. And as production scaled up, the impact of canned milk reached far beyond nutrition. It began transforming lives, societies, and the future of global food supply. Canned milk was more than a product, it was a lifeline. During wartime, it became a staple for soldiers who couldn't access fresh supplies. Hospitals relied on it for nourishment, and households embraced its reliability. For the first time, milk could reach places untouched by refrigeration. The world's most basic food had become universally accessible. Economically, the effects were staggering. Factories multiplied, creating thousands of jobs and fueling rural economies. Farmers gained new markets, and entire transport networks grew around canned dairy. The industry helped bridge the gap between small producers and global demand. Milk had become both a commodity and a symbol of industrial promise. Socially, canned milk changed the rhythm of daily life. Families no longer feared spoilage or relied on early morning deliveries. Mothers could store milk for their children with confidence and convenience. It brought stability in uncertain times and comfort to communities under hardship. In many ways, canned milk became a quiet hero of modern survival. But innovation never stands still. The success of canned milk inspired the next wave of food preservation. Scientists sought faster, cleaner, and more efficient ways to achieve the same results. The stage was set for pasteurization, refrigeration, and eventually digital automation. A legacy was forming, one that would redefine how the world thought about food. The methods born in 1917 didn't fade, they evolved. Every heat treatment, sealing technique, and hygiene standard stemmed from those early experiments. Today's advanced dairy plants still follow the same core principles of preservation. Technology may have changed, but the foundation remains remarkably familiar. The spirit of innovation from that era continues to guide the modern industry. Machines that once ran on steam are now powered by data and precision sensors. Automation ensures consistency that early engineers could only dream of. Robotic arms handle tasks that once required dozens of workers. Temperature and pressure are monitored in real time by AI-driven systems. Yet the goal, to protect purity, remains exactly the same. The legacy also extends to other foods beyond dairy. Canning inspired global advances in preservation, packaging, and nutrition science. From soups to sauces, from vegetables to baby formula, all trace roots to this origin. The principle was simple: extend life, preserve quality, and prevent waste. That philosophy became the backbone of modern food technology. As industries advanced, so did responsibility. Consumers began demanding transparency, sustainability, and ethical production. The same curiosity that fueled 1917's innovations now drives digital transformation. The past taught the world how to preserve, the future asks how to do it better. And that question leads us straight into the connection with our modern world. More than a century later, the hum of steam has been replaced by the quiet pulse of automation. Modern factories shine with stainless steel, touchscreens, and robotic precision. Sensors track every molecule of milk as it travels from cow to carton. Artificial intelligence predicts shelf life, ensuring nothing goes to waste. The legacy of 1917 lives on stronger, faster, and smarter than ever. Today's dairy industry operates at a scale those early pioneers could hardly imagine. What once required hundreds of workers now runs with the push of a button. Efficiency meets sustainability, as factories cut emissions and save energy. But despite all the progress, the mission hasn't changed. It's still about delivering safe, nourishing milk to every corner of the world. Modern consumers trust technology the same way earlier generations trusted the can. Quality seals, traceable sourcing, and digital transparency continue that heritage. From emergency relief efforts to global trade, preserved milk remains indispensable. It feeds astronauts in orbit and children in remote villages alike. The invention that began in 1917 still connects humanity through nourishment. From the hiss of steam to the hum of algorithms, the journey has come full circle. The story of canned milk is not just industrial, it's human. It's about curiosity, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of preservation. What started as an experiment in a smoky factory became a global standard of life. And the next chapter of this story is still being written, one drop at a time.